Let's talk about a really nice problem to have. Lots of time and money. What would a user experience process look like if it were, say, the deluxe version? Well, it would certainly be plenty of user research, as we were talking about earlier. You would probably see the use of more advanced wireframing and prototyping tools. There are platforms, software packages that combine wireframing with requirements in an integrated way. These tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they tend to turn out very high fidelity wireframes, sometimes interactive prototypes. The visual design process will probably be much more developed, where you may create more wireframes, turn those into comps. You may find a full brand style guide, maybe online in a wiki. Finally, with content development, you may see a much more robust effort, not only developing content, but developing custom content, and perhaps even integration into a content management system and planning for an editorial schedule for making the CMS be updated. You may also see a lot of attention and time and energy going into worrying about search engine optimization and how content and metadata in your app or your website can contribute to search engine optimization. Finally, there'll be much more user testing. Perhaps that's something that gets baked into your schedule regularly. Perhaps in a staging server where you're regularly working with the real live app with real live data. So in sum, a deluxe process is one where you've got more of everything. And I'd like to show you an example of a sort of really advanced, high fidelity wireframing and requirements tool. So here we are inside Axure, which is a high-fidelity professional interactive prototyping tool that lets you build wireframes connected to each other and also churn out functional specifications that explain how they're supposed to work. As you can see, there are a lot of modules in Axure that are available to you for building prototypes. I'm not going to go into explaining how to use Axure here today. I've already got a prototype loaded into Axure, and I just wanted to show you how prototypes are built in this app. Over here in my sitemap, I'm going to select my dashboard, double-click to load that in my main display area. Let me get a little more room here so you can see how big this wireframe is. And you'll see some colored blocks, colored areas in the central part. In particular, just below the word dashboard, you'll see two tabs, daily and weekly. Well, in a real website, I can code tabs so I can flip back and forth between the two panels. And I can do that in Axure as well. This happens to be a dynamic panel. So let me select that, and you can see that that's an object there. And what I'm going to do is manage panel states. And let's just open them all, edit all states. And what happened is you'll notice I've actually opened up that object. You can see this daily allocation tab is the same thing as what's centered on my dashboard, but now I'm looking at that in isolation. But that tab has another state, the weekly. And you can see as I'm flipping back and forth in my builder mode, I have the two different versions of the tabs that I would like to display. The point being that with Axure, you can render out my dashboard as an interactive dashboard and flip back and forth between daily and weekly. It also means that I need to plan my modules on my wireframes carefully, because inside this one daily and weekly, I have two separate objects. So you have this nesting construction process in Axure that means you have to think about what you're doing very carefully if you want advanced interactivity. What this means for someone who's trained in Axure is that you can lay in, design very realistic looking prototypes, and then, as you can see in the upper left, connect them together into a website, and then you can actually hit render, and Axure will turn these wireframes into click-through HTML that you can share with your team or use for prototype testing. A really great tool, but as I mentioned before, takes some investment in terms of time to learn, and then it takes some time to build out these higher fidelity prototypes. But it's a great way to go if your team members are up to speed and you need a high fidelity prototype.